as a component of our imperfect referendum system could be a breakthrough to have a national debate on Henoko conflict. And the success of petition depends on how the local politicians throughout Japan understand the real meaning of democracy. As of early August, 30 councils agreed with the petition, and 60 local councils disagreed with the petition. We can see at a glance which city council is democratic and which city council is not democratic, just at a glance.
I think that there is an inherent issue, conflict between representative government and direct democracy. Sadly, that's the case. I think that, like in the United States, what's sad is that there are efforts when you're young to be taught as a Republican or Democrat that representative government is the only way. So therefore, when you're in office, you're going to say direct democracy is wrong. So I think that the best thing we can do for the next generation is educate them that there must be this harmony between direct democracy and representative government, that they work together and not at odds. And I think only through that generational change and cultural change and educational change will we get eventually to a point where there's that harmony that's necessary for the two to exist.
I wonder, maybe you have any comment on the Arab Spring, because it's a worldwide issue of worldwide attention, and apparently considerable violence was involved. Is there any way it could be avoided?
The best way to avoid the violence is to give the power to the people and to listen what people want. I think it's the only way to avoid violence, and violence from the different part and external engines. Because if you look what's happening, for example, in Yemen or in Syria, you have also other countries that are playing on the ground here. So we need to ask the Syrian people, the Yemen people, the Egyptian people what they want, and go to elections, and free elections, not election under the control of army or other entities. So it's the only way to avoid violence.
All right. We need some magic formula.
Well, I think, especially in this region, South Asia and Southeast Asia, the name of direct democracy and referendum name is very diverse. I mean, people have different perception. Let's take an example. People in my country, they listen or they learn about the referendum, they already become paranoid because the last 1999 more or less the referendums, right? And then that's also equally not very popular, but I guess I want to highlight there should be some narrative penetration, putting in the academe, putting in the activists. So many activists, including like me, I am not really understood about the direct democracy. These are some things that need to be spread more in order to make people understood first about direct democracy. Then they will see this as a very good alternative. That's to answer your question, if you wanted to make it peaceful.
Like if you look at how the process came around in the United States, you had, for example, in Mississippi, the only good thing to come out of Mississippi is direct democracy, is that you had a sitting governor who sat there and said that the legislature must stay in session until they pass direct democracy. You look in California, where Hiram Johnson, as governor, said, hey, we must have this tool because the people want it. And if you look around the world, in most cases where direct democracy has become a reality, sadly, it has become because there's been a champion within the representative government system to make that happen. Listen, the best thing that can happen is people who support direct democracy is to cultivate people that are truly supporters to be involved in the representative government. Okay? Don't rely on those people in representative government, honestly, to be your champions. But what we can do is try to facilitate change, peaceful change, by building positive government-to-people relationships, and I honestly think that's the best way you can move forward.
please, look, yeah.
If I can just add some very general ideas on how to educate maybe youngsters, how to get a better idea of what type of media to listen to and to read. So media literacy would be very important too, as to not to get fooled by fake news and disinformation and the use of social media. But even in the legacy media, we can be misled by the populist leaders' promises. Also, the values of dialogue. It's so important to teach that pluralism, but also tolerance. Tolerance for other people's opinions. The values of rational debate, rather than letting emotions take the upper hand. This is something we have to also look at. Being willing to make compromises between progressive and conservative mindsets, to just come to a solution, because otherwise we keep just talking against each other. So be more constructive than criticizing the others without proposing better alternatives. I think these are values that we have to focus on in teaching.
We know there is a sort of critical interaction between representative government representing indirect democracy versus direct democracy mechanism, and how they interact, whether there will be a sort of competition for power or they can cooperate together. For example, my personal conviction is that if the representative government accept the concept of direct democracy, which could, significantly supplement the operation of democracy, then, for example, a comprehensive set of direct democracy, referendum, initiative laws, regulation, can be enacted, and that's what really, provide process. Normal, peaceful process, legal process to translate, people's power into a political process. And if this can be done, most countries can have a comprehensive set of, initiative and referendum process. Then I think, something like Arab Spring may not happen. Or in Japanese case, you just allow local initiative, but not, national initiative. And in the Taiwan case, I think Professor Lee mentioned earlier, that this comprehensive, referendum act seems to pave the way, for people to voice their need and demand into the political process. So a question is whether there is a very important connection between the interaction or cooperative interaction between the representative government and direct democracy, and whether there will be a lot of civic organizations and also civic culture, which will be motivating, driving people into the process of direct democracy.